I'm back. Well, what have we got today? Oh my God, this is looking interesting. Well, hey Tony, what is this thing? Well, let me pull it out of its box and we'll have a real close look up. There's no playing on this one because there's nothing to play yet. But trust me on this, you're probably going to want to see this one. Now listen up, this is the first section of this project that I'm going to make. And I was looking around before I bought this. I was been in America, wandering around all them different stores, except for George's in Orlando, which has closed its doors. It's moved to the internet. And I think that's a really sad situation, you know. Fact is, anybody who's been in Orlando and plays guitars has probably been in George's guitars. Well, good luck to them. I really appreciated going in them places, particularly George's guitars. I've even bought things from them from time to time, and they'll be sorely missed, I'm sure. Except by Guitar Centre. But that's life. That's how that goes. In any case, I was wandering around. This is how the story goes. It is important that you understand why I bought this. Yeah, and I'm noticing a lot of things. And on the internet, I'm noticing that the Telecaster, you know, the Fender Telecaster, is coming back. Did it go away? Well, it's coming back in a way that I have never seen before. There's such a lot of guys playing the Telecaster, or it's coming that way. Everywhere I looked, there were Telecasters. When I go on the internet, there are Telecasters. They're everywhere. And historically, they haven't always, well, they've had bad press occasionally, unless you're one of them chicken picking types, which I'm not, I'm absolutely not. Yeah, I'm more of a rock type. But, don't get me wrong, Roy Buchanan was awesome. That's one or two other guys that I could name. Well, lots of them, in fact. So the Telecaster became a choice for this next project that I'm going to build. And this is the neck. This particular neck, anybody could have gone and bought. You could have gone along to warmoth.com, and bought it. Well, you could have if you'd got the money to do it with, because this is not one of the bottom end necks. In fact, this neck cost near enough $800. That's no cheap piece of gear, is it? And is it worth it? Well, that's relative, whether it's worth it. I certainly think when the whole thing's together, and remember I've seen the things that you haven't, that it will be worth it. But this neck is probably one of the best of its time that I've ever owned or bought. And I opted for a bird's eye maple neck. So let's zoom in close and understand why, first of all, this neck costs what it does, but second of all, why it's probably one of the premier necks that you could buy today. No ifs, no buts, no ahs. And by the way, I paid for this. Warmoth did not give me 1 penny discount, and the shipping and the rest cost hundreds. Okay, well, here we go. You can see right off, well, I hope you can see right off, that it's bird's eye maple. Very nice bird's eye maple, I might add. Let's talk about the specifications and things as we go. Now this is exactly how it came from Warmoth. There's no ifs or buts or anything I've done to this neck, other than taking it out of the box to show you. So, you know, really everything you see here is exactly the sort of thing that you would receive if you bought one yourself. In fact, if you'd bought this one. It's good. This is what they call a vintage modern neck. So it's like, it's got some of the vintage attributes, but it's got also modern attributes that you can't really see them just looking at it like this, but we're going to talk about them. The shaft wood, as I said, is bird's eye maple, and the fretboard wood is also bird's eye maple. What can I say about that? Well, not a lot. Let's move down a little bit. You'll see the figuring's pretty nice. It's not overly done, although it's very premium. And you'll notice there's no markers on the front of the neck. I could have had the markers on it, but I decided against that. I thought I'll make a guitar that's, well, it's different than many of them out there. That's what I wanted to do. On the side, of course, you've got the markers so you can play it, unless you're really good. And I'm not that good, so I need the markers on the side, and that's where they'll stay. It's all good. I love the bird's eye maple on the top, and it's not overly done. I've bought necks like this before that have been highly figured with bird's eye maple, and you can actually feel the bumps in the wood, which when you come up to the headstock, you don't really want it like that. You want it smooth, or at least I do. So moving down a little bit further, let's go and have a look at the nut. There it is. This one's called an Ivana nut. Earvana. And it basically is it's a compensated nut that compensates for the, when you normally on a regular nut, if you press a chord, you'll find that the chord is out on its intonation and that sort of thing, because you're pressing the strings down and all the rest of it. Well, this compensating nut fixes that problem, so that when you've got a chord played up here somewhere, or well, anywhere on the neck in fact, this Ivana nut will compensate for you when you're playing. It's really that simple. They're not that cheap, right? I think they're $50, $60 or something like that. But that's what it is. That's the one I chose, and yeah, I think it's good because I've been here before. Let me put it that way. And here's one of the first parts of the vintage part of the Telecaster. You can see there's an adjuster up this end, slide that over a bit, to adjust the truss rod. You'll probably need to do that later or not. As we move down to the headstock, you can see it's very well figured. These have been machined out for shower tuners, and I'm going to fit the Fender ones, the locking ones, on this Telecaster. Well, as you can see, it's a right-handed guitar. There's no guesses about that. The profile on the back, we go round the back. You can see this completely uniform figuring. Very good. That's really a very high quality when it's like that. If it's not uniform all over, then it's not quite of the same level of wood. The neck profile on the back of this is what they call standard thin, and it's a very it's one of them profiles you'll get on with. Let me put it that way round. You see it down here as we move down here. Hard to show you a profile. Very difficult. So look at that. You can see it's pretty thin down there, but it's more sort of rounder up here. But it's a nice profile, whatever. That's the Warmoth standard thin profile. Yeah. Even got the skunk stripe. Say that fast. I've said that before. As we move down the neck, you've got all the usual things that are included on a Warmoth neck, but some things that aren't included on a Warmoth neck, and you have to go and get them, or you have to make sure that the one you're buying is whatever. Okay, this one's using gold 6150 frets, and I have to tell you that the finish on the side of this and it just feels great. It feels like a worn-in neck, although I can see they haven't really done anything particularly yet. Well, they're not going to, because I am. But you're not going to cut your fingers on any of this or any of that. There's no rough edges like there used to be on earlier Warmoth guitars, well, on the necks in particular. I've had them where they weren't really that good. Now Warmoth do say, oh yeah, but you know, you've got to do the finishing yourself. Well, them days of where you do the finishing yourself, they're still there if you want to take it further. For example, I'm going to be rolling the edges. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. You'll get to see it on a later video. So rolling these edges so that this neck feels as if it's been played for years. Hey you guys, yeah you, have you subscribed? Well you should have. Don't forget to subscribe, do that thumbs up thing because that also matters. And you know, choose all when you want the notifications because you won't get any else. It's got worse and worse on the notifications thing. And I really appreciate it. I've been working on this channel for 10 years, believe that or not. And most people that subscribe like what I do. Some people don't, but then they don't subscribe, do they? So, you know, I'm nearly 31,000 subscribers today in 2022. Let's make it 50,000 before the end of the year. No, it won't happen. In any case, whatever you do, thanks very much and thanks for watching. So moving along round the back, we've got this 10 to 16, and what that refers to is the radius of the neck. It works on a what's called a compound radius, so it changes down the neck, 10 to 16. And well, why would they do that? Well, you'll find that when you're playing up one end, you know, a particular radius is good, and when you're playing at the other end, a different radius is good. Well, for example, on the original Telecasters, I think these were 7.25 inches radius, which meant that, well, this was very bent, right? And when it's very bent on a radius like that, the strings can choke off. You must have heard that phrase. Well, you might not have. I mean, there's a lot of new guys playing guitars. So if you play your strings at the top and you bend, which is what you should be doing really, I guess, and they stop sounding, well, that's choking off. That's what they call choking off. And the radius has a direct effect on stopping that from happening. And I do know that some people will say that 9.25 inch radius is where it stops having problems with choking. So there, in case you didn't know. Anyway, this one is 10 to 16, and very good it is too. It's the first compound radius neck I think I bought from Warmoth, as it happens. Now you'll also notice, but not from the front because you can't count them, you'll notice from here that in fact it's a 22 fret neck. And as most people would know, not all, Fender came with a less number of frets. This one's got 22, and that suits me absolutely fine for what I'm trying to do with it. When you see the quality of this thing, I really can't easily get it across to you on a video. It's just, well, it's perfect. Pre-drilled, all the stuff. I'll come back down there in a minute. Now let's whisk back down to the neck at the bottom here. This down here is a Telecaster, a Fender Telecaster neck shape. Don't go and buy one and try and fit it to a Strat because they don't fit. And the Strat ones don't fit the Telecaster. Not really very well. Let's put it that way. So messing around with this won't help you really with much of anything. No, it won't. And you notice that proudly presented on here, this is licensed by Fender. You can see that very clearly, and that costs money to do that. So it's a Fender licensed neck. It's not a Fender neck, but because it's a licensed neck, I happen to know that the headstock is exactly the same as a Telecaster that you could buy from Fender. Yeah, that's the idea. And my argument with this is that, well, if it's a Fender licensed headstock, surely you can put Fender on the Fender license, can't you? Well, you might want to or you might not want to, but I usually put a Fender logo on simply because it's a Fender licensed product. And most of the components that I buy, or if not all, most of them, are actually Fender components. Yeah. which makes you ask something, or you should be asking something right about now. Yeah, what you should be asking me is, hey Tony, well, if they're all licensed parts, or they're genuine Fender parts, so they're the same, what the hell are you bothering for? Just go and buy a Fender, it's cheaper. Well, the thing is, as you will find out by the time we finish with this neck and body and all the other bits, you can't buy one from Fender. That's the point. You can't buy one from Fender like this is going to be. End of story. And I estimate right now that this guitar will probably cost, and I'm talking in pounds here, so pounds are near $1 now, believe it or not. So I'm going to say to you that this guitar will cost at least £2,000 to complete. And you'll say, what? I can buy a Strat for half that. Well, you can. You could buy one of those Ultras, one of the new Telecasters, for a similar money, or maybe a little bit less, but sort of similar money. Well, you could, but then you'll only have a guitar that every Tom, Dick and Harry's got. Oh, this one. Oh no, this one's going to be absolutely the only one like it out there. And even with the Fender parts and the license of this and the other bits that, and the choices that I can make when I'm making a guitar with components as good as this, separate it out from being the same as what everybody else has got. And that's an important aspect if you're spending a couple of grand. Trust me, on a guitar. I couldn't go to PRS and buy a PRS, for example, that'll look as good as this one will when it's finished. And you trust me, I already know what this is going to be like. You couldn't buy it this side of 4 or 5 grand. You wait and see. Now, I've just got one last thing on this. I mean, you might say to me now, you might say, well, Tony, what are you going to do? Gloss it. You can put some gloss on it, because, you know, you've got to finish. If it's a maple neck, I don't know if you know this, a lot of guys do, but some don't. If it's a maple neck, you have to put a finish on it. Yeah? So you can imagine it, can't you, being all glossy and the rest of it. Well, let me scare you, because you're looking at a neck that's already finished. This is finished. And it's finished with a clear satin nitro. And of course you have to pay for that. That's part of the cost of buying this from Warmoth. But can you see how good that is? I mean, it's absolutely, trust me, if you could just feel this neck, it's just awesome. And that's part of the reason for showing it you on a video separate, so that you can get an idea of really how great some of these necks are. I'm not saying they're all like this one. I bought this one because it's pretty unique in what it is. So, my friends, there it is. The Warmoth, I'll call it Fender Telecaster neck, because that's what it is. Yeah, nothing down the end. I didn't show you that, but don't worry. Yeah, it's just awesome. And is it worth every penny? Well, you might below comment, no, that's a load of junk, Tony. Could have bought one of them for £100 from China. Well, really? Yeah, I knew you'd say that. In any case, that's it for now on this one. It's something I really wanted to show guys, so you could see what you really get, and the fact that it's a Telecaster I'm making and not a Strat. I made a couple of Telecasters over the years. I'll call them Telecasters because that's what they are. They're Fender licensed, aren't they? Of course they're Telecasters. How you could say they're not? It's like a lot of things. You'll see these guys out there saying, oh, this is a T-neck. No. The last tea they were offered was at the Boston Tea Party and they never turned up, right? So this is the one you want. Go and look at them on Warmoth. See for yourself. You can buy them literally for a couple of $100, but they don't look like that one. And I guess by the time you finish it cost you a bit more. But this is one of the top end ones, and anybody contemplating buying the components to make a really decent guitar, trust me, it's still, in my opinion, the best place in the world to go and buy custom parts like that. Now then, until next time, I mean, I've got loads of stuff I'm reviewing. There is loads of stuff to do, and I'll catch up with it, but yeah. Oh, yeah, anyway, I could tell you a few things, but I don't think I will for now. I did escape Florida, by the way, just a few days ahead of Ian, my mate. Yeah, and he wreaked havoc, even in some of the places where I'd been or very near. And by the way, there's viewers on this channel that come from Sarasota and places like that. Listen, guys, I sincerely hope you're all okay. From what I saw of that nightmare coming towards you, well, I left before it got there. Some people didn't. So have a thought for the guys that went through all that horrible situation in Florida. And if you can help them in some way, then do. Till next time, get out of here.